Hi everyone, welcome back to SharePoint Beginner series. In today's video, we are diving into the one of the most important building blocks in SharePoint, which is list. What you will learn in this video is what is SharePoint list, different ways to create a list, types of columns, how to build lists using blank, Excel and templates way, and how list fits into real business use case. So let's begin. Before we start the demo, let's first understand what SharePoint list actually is in the simplest way possible. Think of a SharePoint list as an online Excel table, but with more power. For example, imagine your team wants to track employee details like name, department, and phone number. If this data is kept in an Excel, only one person can update at a time. It's hard to track who changed what. Automations and reminders are difficult. But if you store it in a SharePoint list, multiple people can update at the same time. Changes are tracked. You can automate reminders, approvals, and notification. You can apply permissions, filters, and formatting. So, simply put, a SharePoint list is a shared digital table your entire team can use for storing and managing data. This is why list powers so many business solutions: approval, tickets, employee records, inventory, project tracking, and more. Uh, SharePoint gives us multiple ways to create a list depending on what you need. Let me explain them with simple example. First is blank list. This is like starting with a fresh Excel sheet. For an example, you want a new training request list. Just create a blank list and add your own columns. Second is import from Excel. If the data already exists in Excel, this is the fastest option. Example, HR has an Excel file on employee records. Just upload it. SharePoint will convert it into a list, but the Excel must be formatted as a table. Third, from existing list. You use this when you want the same column structure again. For an example, you already have a project tracker for 2024 and want the same structure for 2025. So simply copy the structure. And the last one is templates. SharePoint provides ready-made lists like issue tracker, task, event itinerary, or employee onboarding. This comes with pre-built columns so you can use them manually. In today's demo, I'll show three most common methods: blank, Excel, and templates. When you create a list, you define the columns, and this determines how your data behaves. Let me explain the common column types with practical examples. Single line of text. Short values like employee code, location, ticket ID are stored in single line of text column. Second is multiple line of text. For longer descriptions such as comments or issue details, we create a multi-line text column. Third one is choice. Drop downs options like status, pending, in progress, completed. You create a choice column and you store the data in that column. Fourth one is yes or no column. Simple decisions like yes, no, approved, reject. This kind of data are stored in yes, no column. Uh, Fifth one is number column. We create number columns for values like quantity, hours worked, score, phone number. This all data can be stored in number column. Sixth one is currency. Budget, cost, price of financial values are stored in this column. Date and time, useful for due date, joining date, review date. Person and group column to assign people like assign to manager, reviewer. So like selecting the right column type is important because it's impact filtering, views, formatting, automations, and even permissions. A well-designed SharePoint list always start with the current column types. So in today's demo, what we are going to see is we will create all list type like blank, Excel, template, existing list, and we will try to add columns and let us understand how the SharePoint list look like. So for creating list, we will use the same HR communication site which we had created in the last video. So as you can see, if I click on new, I'll get an option as a list. So here I have an option for creating a list like Excel, CSV, existing list, and list. So I'll start with the blank list option. This method gave us full control over what our list looks like. So I'll click on create. I am naming this list as employee directory because it's a common example in most organizations. So I'll click create. So this creates a list. Every list start with a title column. So the first thing I will do is rename it to a full name. So I'll click on the title column. I'll click on rename. Similarly, I will create some of the columns like departments, email, location, joining date, or employee ID. So let's create column one by one. For department, I will select choice column. Let us have an option like HR, finance, operations. Let us add one more, IT, and we will click on save. We will use single line and text column for email ID. So let us name it as email and save. We will add another choice column for location. We will add a date column for joining date. Here we have an option for like include time in the date. Like so, let us keep it as it is, and we will click on save. We will add a number column for storing employee ID. So now these columns now define the structure of our employee directory list. So what we will do next is we will enter the data in the list. So I'll click add new item. I'll add my name. I'll select the department. I'll select the location, employee 1. Let us say. Similarly, we will add one more data. We will select department. Pune. So our blank list is now ready with sample records. So let's take a second method to create a list using import from Excel method. To import an Excel sheet into a SharePoint, the first important thing is the data must be formatted as a table. So as you see, so let's take the second method for creating a list using import from Excel method. Uh, Here to import an Excel sheet into a SharePoint, the first main thing is that the data must be formatted as a table. So here, as you see, I have an Excel table with three columns like title, priority, due date, and I have some sample data. So if I try to import this data into my SharePoint for creating a list, it will throw an error. So for an example, if I try to import that file, oh, sorry. So, so as you see, it's throw an error like you don't have any tables in this file. You need to define tables to import as a list. So now let's try to format this data as a table. So what I'll do, I'll select data, full data. I, I'll click format as a table. I'll select any of the option. Here, where's the data as a table? I'll click on OK. So now the file is ready for the SharePoint. So now I'll click on cancel. I'll try to import that Excel again. So I'll click on import from Excel. I'll upload that file. So let us wait until the file is uploaded. Here SharePoint automatically detects column, data types and preview rows. See, this was the same column I had in my Excel sheet. So I'll click create and the entire list is generated instantly. I'll rename. Let us wait until the list is created. So as you see, it's so straightforward to create a list using Excel file. Just simply import the file. First check whether the data in the Excel is formatted as a table or not. If not, format it as a table and just simply import the Excel from the SharePoint and you had the SharePoint list. Now let's look at the third type from existing list. This option is very useful when you already have a list with the correct columns and formatting and you want to reuse the same structure again. For example, I have a list name as project tracker. So what it does, I track my project every year. So now I want to create another list with the same column for project tracker 2025. So instead of recreating all those columns manually for 2025, SharePoint allows me to copy the structure with just one click. What are the benefit of it? It's like it's first thing, it saves my time, it minimize mistakes, and it's keep my list consistent. So the list whose structure I want to reuse, and I don't want data only the columns in setting. So this is the list. Now let's recreate this list using existing list method. So I'll go to site content. I'll click on this new button, list, and I'll select the existing list option here. I'll select this because I want to copy the column structure from another list. So SharePoint now shows me all the list from the site. I'll select Project Tracker 2024 and I'll click on next. I'll rename this to 2025 and I'll click on create. So as you see, SharePoint immediately builds a new list with the same structure, all columns, choices and formatting, but there are no data. And it's look exactly like the previous one, but now it's empty and ready for the new data. So this method is extremely useful when you want consistency across multiple departments and you want to reuse a certain list again and again. SharePoint also gave us ready-made list templates, which are perfect when we don't want to build everything from scratch. So these templates are already include the columns, formatting, and structure. So instead of thinking like what columns to add, how formatting is to be done, you simply pick a template and start using it. Let me show how it works. So what we will do is we will click on this new button, click on list, and here you can see several templates like issue tracker, employee onboarding, event itinerary, travel request, and more. Each one is designed for specific needs. For example, if I click on this issue tracker, it shows me all the columns which is needed for the issue tracker. So it is like issue description, priority, status, assigned to, and all the required columns are predefined and created in this template. So what I'll do, I just click on this use template, and it allows me to use the same name. I don't even need to change the name of this list. I'll click on this create, and it simply create a list for me. See, as you see, it's created a list with columns and like it's ready to use. So this is how simple it is to create a SharePoint list with this template, SharePoint templates. So before we wrap up, let's quickly recap what we covered in this video. We started by understanding what SharePoint list is and why it's such an important part of a SharePoint. Then we looked at different ways to create list, and I walked you through each one, creating a blank list from scratch, importing data directly from Excel, and using ready-made templates like issue tracker and employee onboarding. We also discussed how columns define the structure of your list and why choosing the right columns type matters. So by now you should have clear understanding of how to build list the right way and which method to choose depending on your scenario. So thank you for watching my fourth video on of this SharePoint series. If this helped you, just like it, subscribe, and in the next video, we will try to cover list views and how to format and customize them.